He's on a mission to change the way we interact and is making a healthy profit from our desire to, connect with one another. Badoo has over 155 million members worldwide. That's almost 7% of all internet users on the planet. If you haven't heard of Badoo, it's because their biggest markets are Mexico and Brazil, for now. I logged back in to see how my own network was progressing.
Ah, you show me yours and I'll show you mine. That seems to be the principle on which this works. So this is my profile, described as a 68-year-old man, and 3 people want to meet me. Ah, and one of them's Andre.
Yeah.
Здравствуйте, good morning.
Здравствуйте.
How are you?
Badoo in the beginning was a kind of social network, very similar to Facebook today. I was in St. Petersburg. We visited a cool place called Telephone Bar.
Telephone bar?
Yeah, huge place, about 100 tables, and the people come. Once they get in, they sit on the table and they have a phone and the number. And the people look for the other tables and they just make phone calls from table to table. So for example, if we like 3 cute girls just a couple of tables away and the table number 46, we just call 46 and we can have like short communication.
So that was the beginning of the idea.
So I came back to the office and I say, guys, I think we should try this. We should not compete with Facebook. We should make a place for meeting new people.
But the question I would ask you about London, and you know London because you've been living here, what,
about
several years?
7 years.
Is that London is itself a great multilingual, multicultural hub.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we're here.
Yeah.
Because lots of good international talents come into London, and this is the best place to hire them. Victor from Sweden, Thomas from Belgium,
Aye.
Nathan English, Ivan Spanish. So we have all type of people here.
Let's be frank here. An awful lot of Badoo users are on there to look for sex. But it struck me that the allure of Badoo echoed that of London, a place where anyone could meet and anything could happen. And Badoo's viral spread shows no sign of stopping.
So you've conquered Latin America, you've conquered Eastern and Southern Europe.
Yeah.
And now your target is the English-speaking world.
Yes. Because we're trying to be the biggest place on the planet for meeting new people, and we want to be everywhere. And the next big thing for us is United States and all the English-speaking markets. So we have big plans.
Yes.
Of course, people like Andre can live anywhere they want. But thanks to its lifestyle, talented workforce, and, I suspect, its welcoming tax laws, London thrives on its ability to attract the driven, the energetic, and the creative.
Right. Yeah.
Behind Andre's deceptively shy exterior is someone who wants to change the very way in which people around the globe interact with each other. And for all we know, he may succeed.
Westminster, ancient seat of British political power. With its centuries-old protocol, you'd think that this is one place you'd have to play by the rules to get ahead. But increasingly in London, you can always carve out your own niche. I'm off to see a bonkbuster novelist, an occasional fashion model, and a social network founder. But Louise Mensch was also elected MP in 2010. With over 2 million books sold and 65,000 Twitter followers, her influence extends far beyond her Corby constituency. I've lured her away from the corridors of power to the kind of luxury hotel that the characters in her novels frequent. Sex appeal, or what sociologists call erotic capital, oozes from the pages of Louise's books. But can it give you power when trying to make it in London?
Pretty raunchy stuff, I can tell you. I always wanted you, he was murmuring, fumbling with buttons. Down to her bra and panties. Well, I may need a cold shower before this interview. Hey.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I
haven't seen you for ages.
I know, it's been too long.
Yes,
too long.
come in.
I've got the Prosecco on ice to jolly things along, but there is one small problem.
Frig, hang on. We're going to have one of these most incredibly embarrassing situations. I can't get the cork out.
Give me the bottle. I can get the bottle.
How am I going to live that down?
In your novels, the word power leaps from many pages. But there is a glitzy side to you, if I may put this. I mean, you do fashion shoots and all that sort of stuff. It's part of the career mix, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think when you go and do magazine profiles, they tend to style all their subjects. This is pretty much standard practice, whether they're men or women. It's only the women that get noticed.
I mean, men should be using their erotic capital as well, shouldn't they? I mean, it's a whole...
Actually,
in the House of Commons, you should see both, shouldn't you?
Goodness, I think that'll put half your viewers right off their supper, the thought of either men or women in the House of Commons using their erotic capital. Perhaps we need a little bit less of that.
You have, to use the political scientist jargon, hard power, because you can bring these great people to account, bring them before the bar of the House of Commons. You also have all this soft power, the fact you've written novels, you're a celeb, you are, and a well-recognised face. So the soft power complements the hard power. Would you agree with that proposition?
Soft power can complement hard power. I don't know if it's true in my case. I wouldn't call myself a celeb. Believe me, nobody is stopping me in the street for my autograph. I mean, let's not over-egg the pudding over here.
You are a recognisable face. You have climbed a long way up the greasy pole, and there's further to go as well. What's the most important thing you've learnt?
Don't be a typical politician. I'm very big on social media, or I'm big on Twitter, and I don't guard what I say. I think the idea of the polished politician that only talks about their constituency and never puts a foot wrong, that's gone out the window. Perhaps the most important lesson is to just authentically be yourself.
Which, by more traditional standards, would be considered maverick.
Yeah, they would indeed. I spent my formative youth working in the record business, going on the road with rock bands. My husband manages Metallica. I have a lot of hinterland, a lot of previous, and so I bring stuff to the House of Commons Culture and Media Committee that isn't necessarily the typical background of a Tory MP, but I tend to think that's a plus, not a minus.
Because so many people have said to us, and not only in London, but in other cities of the world, that it's not what you know, it's who you know, and if you want to climb the greasy pole, you've got to build your own network of colleagues and friends of influence.
I think that's absolute rubbish, actually, and I remember people saying the same thing to me in terms of books when I wanted to get published. So you'll never get an agent unless you know somebody. I sent off my submission blind to a bunch of agents, and when I wanted to become an MP, I walked into the office of my local Conservative Party with some promo for my books, and I said, you desperately need somebody who can speak to women. I sell books to women. That was my pitch. I didn't know anybody in any kind of a country set or a city set. I didn't have any contacts in central office. People are put off by these so-called entry requirements. The important thing is just to start.
The thing about mavericks, obviously, is that they don't play by the rules. And shortly after this interview, Louise Mensch shocked the establishment by resigning as MP to move her family to New York, where her husband works. But I bet that's not the last we see of her in London. One person with an even more colourful career is Mayor Boris Johnson, who landed London's top job through sheer force of personality. Boris has asked me to meet him at City Hall, or the Glass Gonad, as he likes to call it.
City Hall didn't exist before I went to Washington, but here it is in all its contrived quirkiness, some would say, like its current occupant. But I couldn't possibly comment.
Entering his second term as London's mayor, Boris controls a budget of over £14 billion, and the decisions he makes have a real and a swift impact on life in the city. I was chuffed that I'd secured a meeting with relative ease, but then Boris did have a book to promote. Maybe I was nothing but a pawn in his power game.
Very good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for doing this.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Christopher.
No.
How are you?
Very, very well.
Mayor on mayor, so this is what it's called.
Mayor is to two mayors.
That's right. After you're gone.
Thanks.
Only in London would you find such an oddball building with an oddball mayor who has real power.
We're two mature blondes with the wind in
Yeah,
our hair.
go on.
How about that? I mean, you have all this authority, and you're now into a second term. What's the secret of your success? How'd you get this job?
I don't know. What is the answer? Telly. It's all about telly. How about that? It was because
you're a celeb.
Well,
Name
I know,
recognition?
well.
Yes.
I think there may be an element of that. Maybe I owe everything to Have I Got News for You. It could well be. So all the cowardly custards who don't do it should think of that.
Yeah, but you went to Oxford, you went to Eton, you're a member of the Tory party.
Yes, well,
there's a whole lot
apart from those elementary disqualifications, how did I overcome those natural disadvantages?
Well, that's my point.
You go through a pretty agonising selection process, followed by the campaign itself. And Londoners really do get a chance to watch you pretty closely. and get an idea of whether or not you're going to represent them well and whether you understand it all. So there's a bug in my eye, sorry. Sorry.
I mean,
provided you can't see the bug.
I can't see a bug.
No,
you look like you have a normal eye.
Fine, go, you know, go on.
What we're interested in is power.
Power.
What kind of networks you need to prepare.
Well, no, this is one of the interesting things. One of the interesting things about the mayoralty, sometimes it helps in a job like this, not necessarily to be plugged into a network of power, but to at least to present yourself as somebody who's emerged as to be an outsider. The mayoralty is a wonderful job for somebody with an essentially piratical approach. Excuse me. It is probably true that everybody kind of knows each other one way or the other. But that doesn't mean that it's an impermeable network, or whatever the phrase I want. There are loads of ways that people can become members of what you might call cornerly the establishment, or the powers that be.
Is there an establishment?
The powers that be
in London. Does it exist? Or is this a sort of conspiracy mythology?
There is no society open to our direct observation, said the great Roman historian Ronald Syme, that has not been governed by an elite of one kind or another. That is just it goes for the Soviet Russia, or it goes for everywhere that you look at. The question is, how open is it to talent? And I would say in London, where you've got all these different loci of power, the arts world, the theatre world, finance, you've got all these different groups of people who can
throwing down ladders,
and people constantly scaling them, as I was suggesting, in this piratical way, cutlass firmly clenched between their teeth, ready to take over.
You have, to use the American political scientists' phraseology, hard power, because you can do things with the police, you can do things with transport.
Yes.
I mean, you can actually affect the way these things
But
work.
we also have soft power. We also have power of influence. Yes. Yeah, oh, yes. I think so. This is my book, by the way, Johnson's Life of London, which this is called soft power now. This is where you disseminate your... Oh, my God, I just happen to have it in my hand. London is a brand. It's a place with opportunity, and also because it's got a great brand name. People recognize it around the world. It stands for certain traditions, freedom, democracy, habeas corpus, rule of law, independent judiciary, free press, fish and chips, wonderful bicycles, whatever. And that is how London is going to succeed in the rest of the 21st century. Because as a brand, it will continue to draw people to it and draw talent from around the world.
Boris might have cleverly crafted a public persona as an outsider, a pirate, but something tells me that his establishment roots did him no harm. He knows better than most about the appeal of London's ancient institutions, but also the importance of not resting on your laurels. With its countless ladders for those with talent and fresh ideas and cold cash, London has a new vitality and a real global relevance, and has helped it to remain, in my view, the capital of the world. But then, I am biased.